Raman High School, the pioneer of IIT Foundation in Tri-Cities.
Good morning, students. Today I am going to teach about atomic structure. Right from 7th class, you are knowing about this atomic structure because while teaching IIT Foundation classes, some of the topics of atomic structure are used in different lessons. Right from 8th, 7th, 8th and 9th classes, you might be knowing some concepts of atomic structure. But just to revive, I would like to touch those topics. As you all know, matter is made up of very tiny particles called atoms. The word atom was derived from the Greek word atomos. Atomos means small. So from the atomos, the word atom is derived. So according to Sir John Dalton, atom is the smallest particle of the substance which is unstable and can take part in chemical reactions. So this definition was given by John Dalton in the year 1808. But the great Indian saint Maharshi Kannada has discussed about atoms and molecules somewhere 1500 years ago. He said matter means padartha. So the padartha is made of very tiny particles called anus. In modern language, the anu is called a molecule. And the anu in turn made up of very tiny particles called atoms, which we call as paramanu. Now, atom, as Dalton said, the smallest particle of the substance which is unstable and can take part in chemical reactions. Dalton has proposed a theory called Dalton's atomic theory. There are some postulates in Dalton's atomic theory. Dalton's atomic theory. The important postulates of Dalton's atomic theory are: number one, atoms are invisible and indivisible. Atoms are invisible and indivisible. That means you cannot see the atoms and you cannot divide the atoms. Atoms neither be created nor destroyed. Atoms neither be created nor destroyed. You can't create the atoms and also you cannot destroy the atoms. When you try to do this, the matter will change its state from one form to other form. For example, you take a solid wooden block, you want to destroy it. And the best way to destroy is you can burn it. So when you burn the wood, it will be turned into flame, some smoke will be released, some ash will be released. So this is the way the atoms of the wood get converted into ash, converted into flame and converted into smoke and some part of charcoal. So that is what the atoms, you cannot create the atoms as well as you cannot destroy the atoms. And the other important point is atoms of an element have same mass and size. Otherwise you can say are identical in all respects. Identical in all respects. That means in size, in shape and in mass. Suppose if you take some 10 atoms of hydrogen, all the 10 atoms of hydrogen will have same mass and same size and same in other aspects also. Atoms of different elements will have different mass and size. Atoms of different elements are different in all respects. That means when you take a hydrogen atom and an oxygen atom, the mass of hydrogen is different, the mass of oxygen is different, the size of hydrogen is different and the size of oxygen is different. Now what we can say is atoms of different elements are not identical, they are totally different in all respects. same and different elements, atoms of same and different elements combine to form compounds. Combine to form compounds. Even though they have say different size, different mass and different in all respects, but they combine and form different compounds. For example, hydrogen and oxygen, they are different in all respects, but they combine to form different compounds like water and hydrogen peroxide. Take carbon and oxygen, they are different elements, belongs to different elements, but carbon and oxygen combine to form carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, etc. And the other postulate given by Sir John Dalton, atoms take part in chemical reactions. Atoms take part in chemical reactions. So, various chemical reactions happen in our daily life right from morning to evening. They are just because of atoms but not molecules. So, because of atoms, chemical reactions takes place. So, these are the postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. Number one, atoms are indivisible and indivisible. Number two, atoms are neither be created nor destroyed. And number three, atoms of an element are identical in all respects. And number four, atoms of different elements are different in all respects. And atoms of same and different elements combine to form compounds. And atoms are the main reason for participating in chemical reactions. After Dalton's proposal, the atom, which he said that it is invisible and indivisible, scientists could identify that atoms are divisible. And they found that atom has more than 100 particles. But out of the 100 particles present in such a small one, they found that 3 particles are very, very important. And they call it as fundamental particles. Fundamental particles. The 3 fundamental particles are: number 1, electron; number 2, proton; and number 3, neutron. There is a time gap in the discovery of these 3. Electrons and protons were discovered somewhere in 1911, between 19 to 1911, whereas neutron was discovered in the year 1932. Electrons carry negative charge, protons carry positive charge, and neutrons carry zero charge. Now, not only electron, proton, and neutron, we have so many particles like mesons, pions, muons, positrons, neutrinos, and so on. So now, you know that the indivisible atom proposed by Dalton, and from there we came to know that atom has more than 100 particles, and in that the fundamental particles like electrons, protons, and neutrons, they have different charges and all these. So now we need to know actually what is the shape of the electron and what is the shape of the atom, where the electrons are present and where the protons are present and neutrons are present. To know this, actually the topic atomic structure came. Because once you know the structure of the atom, then only you will know that where are the electrons, protons, neutrons are present. So that is the reason why we call this lesson as structure of the atom. And different scientists, various scientists from different countries they have proposed different theories on the structure of the atom. And the first theory was proposed by Sir J.J. Thomson, because he is the man who discovered the charge of the electron. So Thomson's atomic model, we call it as Thomson's atomic model. So this model is having no scientific proof. Simply he proposed that this model is compared here. Atom is compared with a watermelon. That's the reason this model is also called watermelon atomic model. So according to this model, atom is compared as watermelon. And you know watermelon, if you cut and see, you have seeds embedded in the red spongy matter. So the seeds are embedded in the red spongy matter. In the same way, according to Thomson, the seeds are compared with as electrons of the atom, and the red spongy matter is the protons and the neutrons. Electrons mass is not counted. Watermelon accounts the total mass of the watermelon is given by red spongy matter. In the same way, for atom also, the protons and neutrons have the total mass. This model failed because there is no experimental proof, and later the students of Rutherford, they have conducted an experiment called alpha rays scattering experiment to know the structure of the atom. And they got some doubts in that experiment. They come to Mr. Rutherford. Again, Rutherford has conducted that experiment and he has given complete clarifications to the doubts of the students of Rutherford. Let us go into that experiment. The name of the experiment is alpha rays scattering experiment. So in this experiment, a C-shaped lead bowl is taken. In this, a radioactive element named uranium or thorium is kept. Near to this, a lead rod with a narrow slit. The meaning of slit is a gap, small gap, is arranged. After that, a gold foil. You can see in a three-dimensional way, if you put a gold foil, you know the foil. Foil means a very thin sheet. The gold foil of such a small thickness, 0.0004 centimeters. So a very thin gold foil is kept. After that, a screen is arranged, and this screen is coated with zinc sulfide. The screen is coated with zinc sulfide, and back of the screen, a powerful microscope is arranged. And why that arrangement of microscope is there, you come to know. Now what happens in the experiment is, the radioactive element emit three type of rays: alpha rays, beta rays and gamma rays. Out of that, we require alpha rays. Now when alpha rays are emitted from the radioactive element, they spread like this. But we don't want these many rays of light because they contain some lacks of light rays. So we want only a beam of light rays. So the beam of light rays pass through the narrow slit, and because of the slit, a perfect beam will come, and that beam of light fall on the thin gold foil, and through the gold foil they pass and fall on the screen. So when they fall on the screen, they produce small dots called scintillations. If you go back to old TVs, when you switch on the old TV, before the picture comes, there used to be small white and black dots. Those we call them as scintillations. Here also the scintillations are formed. And the compound microscope arrangement here is to count the number of scintillations which are forming on the screen, because that count will help how many rays are passing through the gold foil. That is what the purpose of compound microscope here. So once again, alpha rays emit from the radioactive element, and the lead rod will block all the rays except the beam of rays which are passing through the slit, and those beam of rays will fall on the screen, on the gold foil. Through the gold foil they pass and they fall on the screen. Because of coating of zinc sulfide, the alpha ray, when it hits the screen, it causes scintillation, and that scintillation is counted by the compound microscope. And up to here, the students of Rutherford are very clear, and they have observed something at this point. What is observed is, two things they have observed. Number one, 99% of the rays are passing through the gold foil. ,99% of the rays are passing. Whichever the rays are falling, out of that, 99% are simply passing and hitting the screen. And the second observation is 1% of the rays. This is very, very important for us. 1% of the rays are deviating with large angles. Instead of going straight, they are simply deviating with large angles. They didn't get the clarity why those 1% rays are deviating with large angles, and this is what the doubt they have got, and they goes to Rutherford, and Rutherford has conducted this experiment again and observed the things, and then he has given the clarity. Those clarifications we call them as conclusions or postulations. And now we'll go into the postulates given by Mr. Rutherford. Postulates of Rutherford's model. So the first observation is 99% of the rays are passing through the gold foil. And for that, the conclusion given by Rutherford is the atom which is present in the gold foil is almost empty. For example, you take one of the atoms of the gold foil, the alpha rays are coming like this, and simply they are passing. They are able to pass because the atom is almost empty. Atom is almost empty. And the 1% deviations are coming because the positive charge of the atom is located at the center in a very, very small place. Suppose if this positive charge would have been this much size, then what would have happened is almost all the rays would have been either reflected, or they would have reflected with large angles, or they would have reflected back. But that is not happening. What is happening here is only 1% of the rays are deviating with large angles, and for every 20,000 rays, one ray is coming back. That indicates the atom is almost empty. If this is the atom, don't think that atom is this much size, we are just imagining. And if this is the atom, this is the place where the positive charge is present. The alpha rays simply goes because almost atom is empty. And the alpha ray which is coming close to the nucleus, alpha ray is positively charged and the nucleus is positively charged. Like charges repel, so that's the reason alpha ray will be deviated with large angles. And the other point is, for every 20,000 rays, one ray is coming back. That means the ray which is going straight to the nucleus is reflected back. So the three doubts of the students are clarified. Number one, 99% of the rays are passing through the gold foil. The reason is atom is almost empty. And number two, 1% of the rays are deviated with large angles because the positive charge present in the atom has very small place. So that's the reason the rays which are coming close to this are just deviated, reflected. And one ray for every 20,000 rays is coming back. That means it also indicates that the nucleus carry very, very small place, and the ray which is going straight to this gets reflected back. So these are the doubts clarified by Mr. Rutherford. And not only this, with this experiment, the great thing happened is discovery of the positive charge, and later Mr. Rutherford named that as nucleus. So according to Rutherford, atom is largely empty, and it is in the form of a sphere. So we can say atom is a largely empty sphere. And second one, the whole mass of the atom is present at the center of the atom. We call it as nucleus. And this nucleus contains protons and neutrons. We call them as nucleons. We call them as nucleons. And Mr. Rutherford could also calculate the size of the nucleus and size of the atom. The size of the atom is 10 power minus 12 to 10 power minus 13 centimeters. Sorry, size of the atom is 10 power minus 8 centimeters. And the size of the nucleus is Size of the nucleus is 10 power minus 12 to 10 power minus 13 centimeters. So somewhere the nucleus is 10,000 times smaller than atom. We are unable to see atom, and such an invisible atom has a nucleus which is 10,000 to 1 lakh times smaller. So imagine what is required to see the size of the nucleus. And the electrons are present in the extranuclear part. If this is the atom, this is the nucleus. The remaining part is extranuclear part. In the extranuclear part, the electrons are present and they revolve around the nucleus like the planets around the sun. So this atomic model, Rutherford's atomic model, is also called solar atomic model because it is compared with solar system, and also it is called planetary atomic model because the electrons movement is compared with planets, and also this is called a nuclear atomic model because in this model the nucleus is discovered. So Rutherford has given lot of clarifications, but still there are some defects for Rutherford's atomic model. Let us go into those defects. We can follow drawbacks also. So the drawbacks of Rutherford's atomic model. Number one, this model is against the classical laws of physics. What is the classical law? Let us see. Suppose a charged particle is there, and if this charged particle is revolving around opposite charged particle, a negatively charged particle is revolving around the opposite charged particle because of the influence of this. Now this charged particle has to lose energy continuously and it has to follow spiral path. By following spiral path, it has to come very close and close to the opposite charged particle, and definitely some of the other time this particle has to fall into this oppositely charged particle. This is the classical law. Any charged particle which is revolving under the influence of opposite charged particle, it has to lose energy continuously and it has to follow spiral path. By following spiral path, it comes very close and close to the opposite charged particle, and finally this charged particle has to fall into the opposite charged particle. And if this concept, this classical law is applied to the atom, atom also, it has a nucleus and electron. And according to Rutherford's model, electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Now when the electron revolves around the nucleus, the electron also should lose energy continuously and it has to follow spiral path, and finally the electron, by following spiral path, it comes very close and close to the nucleus, and finally the electron has to fall in the nucleus. If the electron falls in the nucleus, atom collapses, but atom is stable. So Rutherford failed to explain why the atom is stable, why it is not following the classical law. This is one. And the second defect is this model failed to explain the line spectrum of the atom. Line spectrum of the atom. What is this line spectrum? I'll tell you in Bohr's atomic model.